Ugh. Should you buy your lesson plans or should you make them on your own? Let's talk about it. What's up, you guys? It's Clayton, and welcome back to the channel to another video where we're going into CFI material. I know you guys have been dying for some more CFI stuff. Don't worry, they're coming soon. So today, I want to start off with a topic that I've been asked before, and I even debated myself when I was doing my CFI training. It's a pretty simple question. Do you buy your lesson plans or do you make your own lesson plans? Some people might say there's pros and cons to each, so today let's talk about the pros and cons. For sake of disclosure, I'm gonna go ahead and be transparent. I bought my lesson plans. My lesson plans that I bought are from the Backseat Pilot, and I used them and I passed my check ride with them. So, did I like it? Or do I wish I wrote my own lesson plans? Let's first talk about the pros of buying lesson plans. The first thing is everything is already there. It breaks everything down so that you don't have to go and organize it. A lot of what building your lessons plans is creating a structure, a flow, if you will. If you want to teach a lesson, for example, on human behavior, most of us know the material or you've learned the material, but developing it into a flow where it cohesively goes from one section, from one topic to another, that can be a little challenging. And the pro of purchasing already completed lesson plans is they've already done that for you. You have a cohesive flow from one section to another, from one topic to another. I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but I'm actually gonna take this page out. Even though these aren't quote unquote my lesson plans, what I did is I highly customized these lesson plans. And that kind of leads us into one of the negatives of purchasing completed lesson plans. They're not tailored for you. They're very generic. They're just generic for anyone to be able to pick them up. For example, the section on systems doesn't apply to my aircraft. He has sections in here for Cessna 172s and Pipers and Diamonds, but it's not specific to the exact aircraft I fly. The avionics might be a little bit different. Maybe I don't have an alternate static system in my aircraft. So while it is very generic, it doesn't tailor it exactly to your aircraft. So that's why when I ended up purchasing these lesson plans, what I did is I went through and customized them and made them my own. I made them custom to what specifically I was looking for. For example, in the parts, the maneuver section where it has speeds and stuff like that, or specific procedures, if I did them just a little bit different, I changed them to kind of tailor to what fit my need. So that might come from a benefit of creating your own lesson plans. You're creating them and tailoring them exactly to you. Kind of fishtailing off of that, of what can potentially be a benefit of also writing your own lesson plans versus purchasing them, is you know the material way better. It's very easy to just purchase a set of lesson plans and walk right into your check ride and think, gosh, I got all the material right here, I'm good to go. There might be sections though that you didn't look through, maybe not at all, or maybe sections you didn't get to study that well. So that's why it's super important if you do purchase lesson plans to make sure you go through those lesson plans. The worst thing you can possibly do on a CFI check ride is have the DPE tell you, all right, sir, I'd like for you to teach me a lesson on forces of flight and maneuvers. And you go like this. Okay, attention. Interesting fact or attention grabbing story. Okay, everything you ever wanted to know about science of airplanes will result in a considerably better understanding of the airplane, hopefully make you a considerable better pilot. Yep, okay, next section. Intro forces of flight. A, lift the upward force created by the effect of airflow as it passes over and under the wing. You don't want to be the CFI who's straight reading his notes. But what you can use, like I said, this kind of feeds back into the first section, the first part of the benefit of purchasing lesson plans is having that flow. What I personally did, and if I actually flip back to some of my older sections here, is I actually highlighted the topic. So that way, when I look down at my lesson plans, I could see the topic. I could be like, okay, here's aeromedical factors. Let's talk about hyperventilation. Let me tell you what hyperventilation is. And then I can go into a little spiel. Maybe I go up to my whiteboard up here. I write some notes up in here. I'm not strictly reading my notes, but the notes are there to guide me along as I present the lesson. Again, purchasing the plans that's already filled out for you. It's a nice benefit. But also writing your own plans, while it does take a lot longer, and that's gonna be a negative, you can, again, tailor that and customize that to your specific needs. Another benefit that you might have from purchasing a lesson plan is getting some information maybe you didn't think about. Well, of course, we definitely, if you're writing your own lesson plans, you want to go through that section and meet every criteria that the PTS is calling for you to cover. There might be some things that you just didn't think about. Maybe it's not specifically in that section, but it does apply to that section. It has kind of ties into it. That's what a benefit of purchasing these lesson plans can do, is they might have a little bit more substance that you didn't think about that could add to that lesson and kind of add to its weight and give it a little more depth. The flip side of that, though, is where we get overloaded with information. It's very easy for you to get absolutely overloaded with information where there's just so much information you get off on a tangent, or you're not presenting the material in a concise way that your student, i.e. the DBE, understands. So I think there's a fine line of material where there's enough material for you to effectively and efficiently present what you're teaching, while also not overloading the student, not too much that's overbearing them where they're just like, what the heck is going on? You lost me from the beginning. So all that to say, there's a lot of pros of purchasing lesson plans, but there's also some negatives that you kind of gotta be careful of if you do purchase lesson plans. This all comes down to you as a student. Do you feel it is beneficial? Do you feel like you're gonna cheat out and not get enough substance and not study the material enough if you purchase the lesson plans? Or is it gonna be more beneficial to you to actually write out those lesson plans? What I actually am aiming to do, I'm not gonna say this like on the record, because this is just a desire, I haven't actually established it, but what I would like to do eventually is I wanna create lesson plans for students or for potential CFIs that just hit the key points. So the lesson plans I purchased, they're awesome because they go into great detail. But maybe someone doesn't want the full detail. Maybe they just want a structural guideline of just the key points to hit. For example, this section right here talking about aeromedical factors, maybe making lesson plans that just has the key points. So first part is just talking about obtaining a medical certificate. Maybe there's a section after that that just talks, or it says, what class is a medical certificate? Obviously mine goes into way more depth of what each of these are, all their privileges, stuff like that. But if someone could make, I'd love to make lesson plans that just have the subject line. So it's not necessarily cheating and it's providing a ton of material, but it's more so a guide for you to follow through to kind of set each of your lessons up and create that nice cohesive flow through each lesson. All that to say, the PTS is your guide. The PTS highlights exactly what we want to talk about on the check guide, but creating a nice flow where we can transition from one topic or one point to the next is what makes the lessons efficient, what makes them stand out to our students. So creating that flow, I think, is what effective lesson plans is important. So like I said, I'm not promising anything, but I'm telling you that's something I'm aiming for, is I wanna create something like that. Just highlights the key points to help you kind of create a flow, and then gives whoever uses those lesson plans a chance to fill in the information from behind and kind of give them a chance to study the material and become familiar with it, instead of just getting all the material and then being like, all right, I'm good to go on a check ride, see ya. All that to say, I'd love to hear from you guys. For any CFIs out there who bought lesson plans, do you regret it, and what's your thoughts on it? For you CFIs who didn't buy lesson plans and wrote your own, leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys as well. I truly don't believe it's right or wrong to either purchase or write your own lesson plans. No matter what, I think it's ultimately on you as a CFI. It's your responsibility to be familiar with the material. Don't be that guy who just purchases them and reads from them. It's not efficient for you, and it's not fair to your potential students. It is our duty as CFIs to provide adequate instruction. And when you're just reading off a paper like that, that's not adequate instruction. Like I said, pros and cons. I'd love to hear from you. Leave those comments down below and be on the lookout for some new videos on CFI stuff. We got some great stuff coming up. What I'm gonna encourage you guys is I now have open for memberships on YouTube. So any potential video that's coming out in the future, whether it's CFI stuff or anything like that, if you join the membership program, you're gonna get access to those videos early. So if you really wanna see the CFI training stuff before everyone else, be sure to join the membership group. I would greatly appreciate it. It's not required, but again, I would absolutely love the support. If that's not an option for you, I'd love for you just to drop a like on the video, maybe subscribe if you're new, because we're gonna be pumping out some awesome training videos, some other just fun stuff, flying on Flight Simulator, flying on VATSIM, or maybe videos flying with me and my friends in real life. We'll see. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have questions, and again, leave those comments down below as well of what you think, whether you should purchase or write your own, whatever you're thinking. Leave it down there in the comments. Let's start a great open discussion. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.